Hello, my name is Duane. Back in February 1st, 2003, I was the commander of the 21st Space Wing at Peterson Air Force Base. Prior to that, I'd had a variety of logistical, staff, maintenance, and also pilot experiences, including a number of fighters and also the SR-71 Blackbird aircraft before I got into the space operations arena. Well, Saturday morning, February 1st, 2003, there I was at the Peterson Air Force Base gym, working out early morning, watching between some sports channels and Fox News as the shuttle was doing its re-entry. As it proceeded, all of a sudden there was a delay in the shuttle's landing. And anyone that knows the shuttle program knows that a delay of a few seconds in anything in that program means something has happened. So as we continued to watch it, all of a sudden we started hearing greater emphasis on this. Other channels started switching to it. I went to a nearby elliptical and grabbed General Willie Shelton, who was Brigadier General at the time. He's now the commander of the Air Force Space Command, and told him to switch over to Fox News because he's watching another channel. He immediately saw what was happening as well. He took off for Space Command headquarters because he was the director of operations at the time. I grabbed my stuff and started listening to the radio in my car as I went back to my headquarters, my operations center. Got in there, and between the time when I left the gym and got to the operations center, we found out of the tragedy that was occurring over Texas, and that yes, we had indeed lost a shuttle. We got inside my operations center. We made sure that all of our data was being locked down because we were the worldwide space surveillance wing, keeping data through all the sensors worldwide of everything that happens in the shuttle and other spacecraft, of course. We also checked with Cheyenne Mountain, which was under our command as well, made sure they locked down their data. Got in touch with Air Force Space Command, where Willie had gone to, and made sure that they knew that we were indeed locking down the data for a subsequent accident investigation. And then it proceeded from there. Well, as the NASA contingency plan goes, there's an Air Force Space Command person assigned to an accident investigation board. I was not that person at the time. That person at the time was otherwise occupied. So they got in touch with me, and you were kind of voluntold to do this. And of course I said, yes, I'd be honored to do this. It came about because my previous accident investigation experience, both in the space arena and the aircraft arena, and having worked with the Vice Commander of Air Force Space Command on a previous space investigation, my name naturally came up, I believe. Well, it started fast and furious from that moment onward. Through the afternoon, we had our first telecon with Admiral Gaiman that afternoon. We all got a copy of the letter that appointed us that afternoon that said it'll be a 60-day investigation. We kind of chuckled at that because you know that it's going to be more than a 60-day investigation, something of that magnitude. You can trace back to the Rogers Commission. You can trace back to an investigation I had done on the GPS unmanned launch out of Cape Canaveral that was supposed to take 30 days, actually took about 4 months to complete that investigation and find out what the real cause was and how to fix it and prevent it again. Well, we went through the telecon that afternoon, getting the board together, making our plans for the next day. Admiral Gaiman had said that we're going to have a meeting at Barksdale Air Force Base the next evening. So we were frantically making our arrangements, working with our families, saying goodbye to get everything arranged. The next day on Sunday, the 2nd, we had a C-21 executive jet arranged. It took me from Peterson. We went down to Kirtland Air Force Base, where we picked up Major General Ken Hess, who was the Chief of Air Force Safety, who was also part of the contingency plan for augmenting NASA and such investigations. And then we took Ken and also Rick Burgess, who was his chief investigator, and we flew to Barksdale, met up with those that had already arrived, awaited those others, started to see what was already happening at Barksdale with folks like Dave King conducting the debris collection, astronauts like Casper and Ross and others that were involved. Highly professional group, already engaged in this horrific contingency, somber mood, but very professional as we went on about that. And then about 6 o'clock, I believe it was, that first evening, we had our first board meeting with Admiral Gaiman, starting to lay out the lay of the land and where we're going to start heading in the days to follow. When you start an investigation like this, you do not want to delay whatsoever conducting interviews. You need to start when things are fresh in people's mind, because if you don't, they will start to be impacted, whether it's by self-questioning, whether it's by talking to other people, whether it's by, particularly an example such as Columbia, the media, which was all over this and presenting every theory that possibly could come up. So you want to get things while it's fresh in people's mind and figure out what they are thinking right away. And you can do follow-up interviews later, but then you've got a baseline to start from. And we did this very early on. We had our attorney involved very early, gave us the opening statement that you read every single interviewee. We'd already made the decision that the interviews were going to be privileged. And I'll make a distinction here. In the military, for example, there are two types of boards. One is where it's privileged. You're trying to get immediately, as quickly as possible, to whatever caused the accident or incident so that you can move forward and prevent something like that from occurring again. The other is the one that becomes very official. It's very legal. Everything is you can obtain through the Freedom of Information Act. So people may be a little bit more reluctant to be as open as they would in a privileged interview situation. So we had already decided these are going to be privileged interviews. Whatever they said would be held within the board itself and not be released to the public. So that was very good for getting some people to speak out very quickly and very openly. I was part of the initial interviews with Rodney Roca, for example, with Linda Ham and Ralph Rowe. We got them in because they were some of the leaders, mission management team. We needed to get what they had seen right away. People like Rodney Roca that had volunteered to come forward. And each one of these interviews, whether it was these high level at the beginning or even through the technician level that helped us later on, would give us leads as we went forward. For example, some people came into the interviews ready for bear, ready to talk to us. They had copies of emails. They had copies of other decisions that led us down great trails for other types of interviews as we went forward. We had people that said, well, you know, I'm not really the expert on this. You need to talk to so-and-so, and they might be able to bring you up on this type of thing. Some of the things that led us down the investigative paths were examples of what had happened during the video reviews of NASA. And this was, you know, several months into the investigation, where we're talking to one interview that led to another, and they're saying that, you know, we haven't reviewed every single one of these videos. And oh, by the way, there were nighttime videos that you can't see anything about foam falling off of the orbiter or off of the ET and any type of strikes that may have occurred then. So we were able to look at that, and this is a prime example of taking it where NASA thought that they had 4 strikes previously, and the total throughout the program, so about a 1 in 23, 25 chance of having a strike, to STS-112, where they actually had some damage from a foam strike, to where we looked and we eliminated the nighttime launches, we eliminated the videos where they had not reviewed them, and we had them look at those. We found 2 more strikes to where the videos were not even reviewed or didn't have a good shot of happening. And it came to find out that there was about a 1 in 10 chance of the orbiter getting struck by foam. So those are the type of paths that can lead you down by talking to one person who references you to another thing that allows you to go do some look at facts and forensics in another different arena. So as we did these interviews, we opened ourselves up in a lot of different ways. We had our own personal cards we gave each interviewee. We had a CAIB card that we gave each interviewee in the case they wanted to contact us in any way. We asked them, is there anyone else we should be talking to, which led to some of these other paths that we went down and other facts and forensics that we're able to get. We had flyers that we posted at all locations, from Johnson to Michoud to Kennedy to all over the place, to make sure that people knew that if you want to talk to the CAIB, if you've got anything to offer, we're trying to prevent this from happening again. In addition to solving what actually happened, please come forward. And we had a number of people that did, both openly, some very privately, some phone calls as well. Some strange meetings that we had everywhere from a Burger King in Cocoa Beach to meeting in a hotel room suite after hours to come up with what they had to say to us. So the interviews proved to be very productive to not only codify some of the facts and the trails we were going down, but also to lead us down to other things that really helped fill out the report even better. And another lesson from interviews is you want to introduce yourself to the interviewee. You want to tell them what you're going after, follow whatever legal has got you, and then let the interviewee talk. You do not want to lead an interviewee, because then you could be inserting your own biases there. You can keep them on path. You may correct them as they go some different arena, or you may try to broach another subject, but let the interviewee talk about what is on their mind and let them bring out the facts. You can continue to pry into those, but don't try to do anything that will insert any type of presumption on your part as you go through the interviewing process. If there's any takeaways about interviews, it would be to start them early, to know that there may be follow-ups, but get things while they're fresh in people's minds so that you can start from that point. That'll lead you down different paths. It may give you follow-up interviews as you go. It did many things for us, such as finding out where not that technicians were applying foam to tanks improperly, they had poor specifications. It led to poor leadership practices within mission management meetings, for example, people not getting their voices heard. It led to the acceptance of flaws. It led to us finding out about more than 3,500 waivers that were on Columbia that had not been addressed, half of them not been addressed in about 10 years, about inspections reduced from 40,000 down to 8,000, things such as that, and the flaws that had been come to be accepted, and the failures that had come to be accepted, such as the foam that continued to strike that we didn't even know about. So interviews can lead to many, many things. You want to go into them quickly and with an open mind and follow where the path leads from there. One of the most important things about any board is you do not want to enter the board with any type of presumption of what caused it. You've got to go in with an open mind and go where the facts and forensics lead you from that point. There was a particular day early on where I was with Scott Hubbard in his office, and we were looking at a video recording that the foam was falling off and hitting the wing, it appeared to be, and disintegrating. That was an aha moment for us. At that point in time, based upon our physics backgrounds or any high school physics type background, you knew that 1.5 pounds of dense foam that impacts another object going with a 500 mile per hour speed differential is going to cause immense damage. So we knew at that point in time, okay, this is it. However, you've still got to go where the facts and forensics lead you. We were very fortunate when the MAJ recorder was found, because that kind of opened up, here's the path of where the heat started, where it went, where it transgressed throughout the entire wing, and how it came to bring down the orbiter. Had we not had that, there were also a lot of other forensics out there, from the parts that were falling off of the orbiter from the time it hit the Pacific coast, probably before that were never on the videos, all the way through Texas, different small to large parts falling off of the orbiter. To when we did the accident reconstruction in the hangar down at Kennedy Space Center, and you saw that most of the left wing was missing and the other pieces were intact that were found over that humongous 200-mile debris field, but not the left wing. Those were the parts that had been falling off forever. But if you go into any type of investigation, presuming there's a cause, you're going to open yourself up to either a delay or an embarrassment. You need to get those facts, get the forensics, let them lead you. You can't just come up on national TV and said, this is an aha moment, this caused it. You've got to go through all those facts, all the steps to prove it, which then led us to going to Southwest Research and using their famous chicken gun and firing the foam at the RCC panel that quieted at that point in time any of the naysayers that foam cannot hurt an orbiter. It certainly could. The facts and the forensics led to that particular point in time, and then we had to march forward from that to show, okay, the foam caused the accident. Well, how did we allow that to happen? And then that led into the other parts of the investigation to look at the organizational structure as well. Whenever you start an accident investigation, if you use a military corollary, there are specific functions that each board member will have. Some will look into engines and the manufacturing, some will look into the hierarchy, some of them look into the hydraulics, et cetera, et cetera. It's not unlike what we did with this board. Initially, we came in and each one of us, based upon our background, started tackling what we had. John Berry, for example, came from logistics, Ken Hess from safety, Steve Wallace from FAA safety. I was the Air Force Space Command representative, so initially I started attacking things. I was a space operations consultant, so I was looking at everything from what happened on orbit and what data that we had from that through the launch and the re-entry type of portions of the mission. It went into the interviews. I did things such as the media representation. But as we started to congeal as a board, we expanded the board. We broke it further down into specific arenas for us to look into, which is something you have to do. None of the 13 members were subject matter experts in any one particular area, but we became the focal point to work with subject matter experts. I became someone that looked not only in space ops, but also in the maintenance and operations and logistics arena, what was happening with the orbiter processing, for example, the external tank. As we went through the interviews, as the facts and forensics went to show us more and more, it led me to become the person with the greatest focus on the external tank and the foam and the application. Spent many days at the Michoud Assembly Facility looking at all their specifications, how they did applications. We made video of how you do that application. We analyzed what had happened with previous tanks. I became known affectionately, hopefully, as Foam Boy, because I was all things foam. And that's what you need to do, is have someone that can delve down into each area, particularly where facts and forensics are leading you, and then bring it back to the board so that it's not just that one individual's thoughts and what they're trying to put forward. You're putting the facts out for the board to see. So as you go out as that investigator looking in one specific area, again, with the subject matter experts working for you, you don't become the single person deciding that. You bring it back to the board, and then that board can look at what you have brought forward to you. They say, well, did you think about this? Or do you need to talk to someone about this? And they help you zoom out and broaden from the zooming in you've been doing on that one specific arena. So you've got to do that, because that led us down other paths to look at the quality assurance, and we had a number of reduced inspections. We had a workforce that had been not decimated, but cut back severely, so even the frequency of inspections were occurring less frequently. So the object and the lesson to bring back from this is you break into your groups, but you also bring everything back to the huge group, the overall board itself, versus keeping it with one individual or one small group, so that everybody becomes on the same plane and everybody's contributing and you're getting everybody's feedback through the process. When all is said and done with the board process, you come to congeal everything and put it into a report. I stand by our report that we came up with 110%. I think it's a benchmark for investigations to follow. And it's instructional, as well as allowing people to have insight into what occurred all the way from the start of the space program all the way through what happened with Columbia. So stand by that report 110%. When you look at other investigations, for example, even bring in the Challenger disaster, you had some other addendums to those reports, such as Dr. Feynman when he came out with his report. There are some investigations where you have minority reports, or reports where people disagree, so they write the disagreement statement. I was asked why I came out with a supplement. I did come out with a supplement to this report. Again, not because I disagree with the report, because I think it's an outstanding report, but because through the course of my investigation, through the course of the interviews that I had people that were very, very convinced, and they convinced me that some of the things were very important. In our report, you have to limit what goes into it. You can't come out with a laundry list of dozens of return to flight action items, and I well understand that. I just felt that because of the interviews that I had, because of the forensics and facts that I went through, there were some additional things that needed to be brought out and that NASA needed to follow up on. So I wrote a supplement with other board members' participation to help me put it into a better product. We put that on the street and became a supplement to the CAIB report. I would encourage any investigator that thinks that things that haven't been followed through strongly enough or that they disagree with something to remember you've got to be honest with the person you look in the mirror in the morning to make sure that you've got every single fact out that you could possibly get out, every single important item that you are convinced is important becomes part of the public record for them to look at. In the case of the supplement, I did get calls for up to a couple of years after our report went out, calls and emails with what I call my pen pals, those that I met during the CAIB, that would keep me apprised of what was happening. No, these were not return to flight items that I put out, but they were items that were, for the most part, looked at, evaluated as NASA went forward to try to figure out the best way to proceed in the future with a shuttle program. So I felt very good that I had put this out. I think that any investigator should be able to resolve these in their mind, that either it's worth putting out, it's including in the report, or if it's not in the report, you've got to make the decision about should this go forward. So do the right thing is the bottom line of every single investigation. Make sure that you are comfortable with what the final outcome is. I was very comfortable with the outcome of the report. I was also very comfortable with the fact that I put out a supplement there to emphasize some other areas. Now, doing accident investigation is one thing, and they're very, very important. To me, what's much more important is preventing accidents. What I call, based upon the Columbia experience, combating complacency. If NASA, the great organization that it is, can fall into complacency that it did, any organization, large or small, can do the same thing. We like to use the quote that the foam did it, the institution allowed it. You have to ask yourself, what kind of foam do I have, and what am I allowing? Every single decision you make today can impact what happens years down the road. You need to look and see what is happening. And the key takeaway comes from Diane Vaughn and the Challenger launch decision, and that great term that she came up with that so represented so many parts of NASA as we went through this investigation, which is the normalization of deviance. And what that means is where you have the unexpected becomes the expected, that then becomes the accepted. And you can look at whether it's the foam application, foam falling off, the mission management team's conduct, to looking at what happens with a shuttle on orbit. You can look across any of those and you can see where things that were unexpected became expected and then became accepted. Of course, the key one is the foam. Foam falling off of an external tank is unexpected. It's not supposed to happen. Well, it happened, so it came to be expected. And because it was expected, it came to be accepted. And it went on to kill the 7 crew members plus the 2 helicopter crew members that were involved in the debris search. So 9 people died because of that normalization of deviance. You have to look across everything in your organization to make sure that you don't have such things occurring, that this isn't supposed to happen. If it's not supposed to happen, find out why it's happening and prevent it from happening again. Don't let it become, it's not supposed to happen, but it's happening. And then it becomes to, okay, you're not only expecting it, you're accepting it. So you've got to make sure that your organizations do not do that, and you follow through, and then you will not have an accident investigation. You will be preventing accidents day to day and never know what type of tragedies you may be preventing, but you know that you're doing a good job by making sure that you are preventing those in the future. One of the lessons of Columbia or any investigation is you've got to do what author Jim Collins talks about, zooming in and zooming out. As you're zooming in, for example, in my case, on the micro, on the external tank, on its production, on the application of the bipod ramp foam, on what could cause that to fall out, you've also got to zoom out. You've got to look at, how did this get to be part of the process? How did the quality assurance go into it? How did this become a specification? And then on to how many times had it failed? How many times had it been accepted and noted that these things were falling off, but they weren't causing damage, so they were becoming accepted. You've got to zoom in and find out what these specific facts are, the forensics are, then zoom back out and try to determine how does this fit in the overall picture as you're discussing with the board other components to see where they all fall together. So continue to look at the micro, but take the macro picture. In a pilot's parlance, it could be, get your head out of the cockpit every now and then. You may be focusing on one instrument, but look around to see what's happening in the outside world around you. Put it all in the context of one big picture. And that's exactly what you do during an investigation. As you're doing an investigation, whether it's a small one for a minor incident or a major one for the nation, as in Colombia, it's important to remember who your constituencies are. For a smaller investigation, it may be that one commander in the military or that one airline superintendent in an airline small incident in an airport. Something like Colombia, we had a lot of constituencies that we really had to consider as we went through the investigation. We had to keep them informed, and we think that it made our report, when it came out, to be a better report and also one that was much better received, as I believe our report was received. In the instance of Colombia, we had a number of constituencies. Our number one that we felt the most loyalty to was the astronauts' families. They had suffered these tremendous losses, unexpected. So they were number one. Number two would probably have been the astronaut corps. Number three probably been NASA. Then you've got to think about public, and in this case, it wasn't just the American public because of the loss of astronaut Ramon. It was an Israeli public as well. Then you've got to think about Congress. They had key interest in this. It was a major national story. We got to go and brief congressional members one-on-one. The White House, which controls NASA, we had to keep them informed as we went along. And then another key aspect in an investigation of this magnitude was the media. You want to keep them hand in hand. As a matter of fact, the very first night that we met at Barksdale, Admiral Gaiman went out to the gate of Barksdale Air Force Base and had a press conference. We didn't have anything hardly to say, but we did send that message that we are here to do this investigation and to be open with you as we go through the entire investigation. And that way, that not only informed the media that we knew they were constituency, but all the others knew immediately that we're going to be open about this. And we continued that throughout the entire investigation as we had our weekly press conferences, as we had one-on-one type interviews as well. So I'm not trying to overemphasize the media, but the media does help you keep your other constituencies informed so that as you go back to write the final report, there are very few surprises when it comes out. People know what you've been doing, what you've been thinking, where you've been pursuing, where your leads have followed, why you have gotten to that point, and then your report goes out, it's well received, and hopefully people move on with the lessons learned from that. If I could give any key takeaway, it would be when you enter an investigation, enter it with an open mind. Don't go in with any presumptions. If you go in with presumptions, you're going to be embarrassed. You may be delaying the investigation. You need to go in with a blank slate to let the facts and forensics lead where they might. You need to do, along with an open mind, you need to have that mindset that you're going to go beyond the widget. You don't want to just look for the part that broke. You don't want to look for just the foam that came off, for example, in this case. You want to look at how did you get to that point of that part breaking, of that foam coming off, of that pilot error or whatever it is along the way. What led to that? Because it's not that singular widget or singular act that causes an accident. It's something that leads up to that, whether it can be organizational, whether it can be training, whether it can be poor specifications that were allowed. You need to make sure that you keep that open mind and go beyond the widget in anything that you do in those investigations.